Good afternoon and welcome to a special afternoon edition of the Utopian Baseball Universe team previews. This is the last show we're doing in our preseason, if you will, to get ready for opening day, which is 13 days from today. Today is the Texas Rangers. Texas, I believe, was a sixth place team last year. They've made some additions. Of course, we'll get to the roster later. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to enter those into the comments section. We'll get to those at the end of the show. But as we always do, I want to start the show with our guest and bring on Nate Miller. Nate is the host of the Basement Show. And Nate, for some of the viewers that maybe aren't as familiar with it, tell us about the Basement Show, how it came about, and where we can find it.
Gladly. It started in September of 2012, and I was literally doing it from the basement in the house that I was living in Michigan. I found it via a Google search, and it's on Fishbowl Radio Network. They're actually the largest internet radio station in the country. We average about 7.2 million listeners per month as a network. And so I did the show about a year in Michigan in that basement, and then my lease ended and I decided it was time for a change. So I moved down here to Texas to do the show from Fishbowl's studios, which at the time they were in a different building than they are now. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we've had 9 retired Major League ball players as guests. I've had David Mickey Evans on. He was the director of The Sandlot, and it's just been a lot of fun.
Very cool. And where do you do the show from now?
We actually do it from Globe Life Park, the Texas Rangers old ballpark, which is pretty much right across the street from the new one.
Nice. And when can people hear the Basement Show during the week?
They can hear it from 1 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time every Wednesday. It used to be 1 to 3, but we've had to cut back until we find a sponsor. So,
okay. So tell us what year you became a baseball fan, and maybe share some early memories for us.
Oh goodness, I've been a fan ever since I can remember. Probably since I was 6 or 7. The earliest memory that I have, I don't remember the outcome. But the earliest memory I have is when I was 7 years old. I went to Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium, on Michigan and Trumbull. They were playing the Kansas City Royals. This was back when Cecil Fielder was playing, so it was a while. Like I said, I don't really remember much about the game. I just remember the ballpark. We sat in the right field grandstand, I believe, in the upper deck. So it was kind of cold, and it was just it was a great time, and I wish I could remember more about it, but I just remember the ballpark basically.
I never got a chance to see old Tiger Stadium, but I was at Comerica in 2008, and I really enjoyed the statues and just the atmosphere that Detroit has built there.
Sure, it's a beautiful ballpark.
So what was the year then that you had moved to Texas?
That was 2013. So it's been it'll be 8 years in October.
Okay. Now, who would you consider now in 2021? Would you consider the Rangers to be like your team, or are you still kind of a Tigers fan?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Follow the Rangers mostly now because they're so close. It's like I don't just work closely to the Rangers ballpark. I actually live pretty close to it as well. But I still follow the Tigers every now and then. So,
what are some of your favorite memories of the Rangers' successes when they were in the back-to-back World Series? I believe that was 10 and 11.
Yeah, that was 10 or 11. I was still in Michigan at that time, so I didn't really get to see it other than on TV.
Okay.
But even then, it was pretty special. It was fun to watch.
Tell us about the unique aspect of the 2020 World Series. It was the only World Series ever played on a neutral field, but your Rangers got to actually host that at Globe Life Field.
Mm-hmm.
What was the atmosphere like in the city to host a neutral World Series?
It was like watching. It was like having 7 Super Bowls in the course of a week. It was that kind of traffic. I mean, because people were still allowed in the ballpark. It wasn't to capacity, obviously, but that area, as it always is, it was kind of hopping, and it was fun to watch, even though the Rangers weren't in it. Who was it? Like, wasn't it the Dodgers in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, Dodgers and Tampa. I think it went 6.
Mm-hmm. It went 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like watching 6 Super Bowls. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Couldn't afford tickets. My birthday was right around that time. My mom said I could either get a cell phone or tickets to one World Series game. I chose the cell phone. So, but it was, there was just something nice about having the World Series here, even if the Rangers weren't in it.
I wonder if some fans view that as bittersweet in a sense. Just to share kind of a similar story, I forget what year it was. I want to say 2013, maybe. The first no-hitter ever thrown at Miller Park here in Milwaukee was by a Chicago Cub, and the opponent wasn't even the Brewers. I forget what the reason was, but the Cubs were moved out of Wrigley Field for a couple days, I think because of snow.
Mm-hmm.
And they played their games at Miller Park, and Carlos Zambrano threw a no-hitter. Again, I don't know who he threw it against, but it's kind of weird to think, like, okay, the first no-hitter in the Brewers Stadium was by a Cub playing as the home team.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird. So I wonder if Rangers fans, feel like, and this is a brand new park. Like, that was the first year. First year of that stadium, and they're hosting a World Series, but then it's the Rays and Dodgers. So I wonder if some fans feel a little bit bittersweet about that.
They did feel bittersweet about it, but they took away some good as well. At least it wasn't the Houston Astros being in that being the host in that ballpark, and it came close. It came close to the Astros being the hosts, and that rivalry is bigger than people know. Between Houston and Arlington.
Do you foresee now that I guess fans didn't get a chance to let the Astros have it in 2020? Do you anticipate that fans haven't forgotten, and it's going to be an interesting start to the season for the Astros in relation to fans getting a chance to let them know what they think about their now tainted World Series win?
I don't think they'll ever let Houston forget about that. So
it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see Dodgers fans, even though they have that championship now, how they react when they play, if they play each other. I'm not even sure if they play each other this year. Tell me about the 2021 Rangers. Like, what do you expect from the team? I don't anticipate MLB going to the expanded playoffs this year, so it's just going to be the regular format, 3 division winners, 2 wild cards. But what do you see the chances for the Rangers competing this year?
I think it's a bit of a rebuilding year for the Rangers. You really don't see a lot of names that you did last year. Lance Lynn is gone. Elvis Andrus, who that just breaks my heart that he's not a Ranger anymore. And so many others have moved on. But we've got a lot of good young talent. We've got Kohei Arihara. You can never say that name. Kohei Arihara. the young starting pitcher from Japan. People are excited about him. And we've got Joey Gallo, of course, hitting fourth. And it's just we got just a good batch of young talent. We got Leody Taveras. We've got Isaiah Kiner Falefa. He won a Gold Glove last year. So did Joey Gallo. Now that I think about it, both first-year Gold Glove winners, and it'll be an interesting year. I don't foresee the Rangers going too far into the playoffs at all, if at all, and but you never know. I mean, this is baseball. I mean, that's one of the great things about it is that anything can happen. So teams that teams that don't usually make playoff pushes, I mean, they surprise you sometimes.
Sometimes it's all about the chemistry of that particular ball club. So if you bring in some new guys and they build a good chemistry, sometimes that can create a good momentum and just lead to great things. I can name a number of teams that were predicted to go 6th, 7th place, back when they were 4 divisions, obviously.
Yeah.
Who ended up winning World Series, like the 91 series between the Twins and Braves. Both of those teams were 7th place teams in 1990 and came into 91 with, 5th and 6th place expectations tops. So you're right. It is baseball. Anything can happen. So some of these names that you've mentioned, we might hear in the Utopian roster.
Okay.
Before we actually get to the roster, let's take a look at the Texas schedule, some of the highlights. Rangers are going to open actually against my Mets on March 26th, Friday, March 26th. Home opener is April 2nd against the Red Sox.
Okay.
Memorial Day versus the Durham Bulls. And for anyone who's just joined the Utopian, yes, the Durham Bulls are in the Utopian Baseball Universe along with the Montreal Expos.
Famous minor league team.
Famous minor league team, romanticized in Bull Durham, of course. But I wanted a 32nd team, and I thought that would have been an interesting choice.
Okay.
Texas at Cleveland on Independence Day.
Okay.
Labor Day at St. Louis. And then finishing the season at home against the Utopian Baseball Universe champion Atlanta Braves, who we featured last night. So let's get right into the roster. The manager of the Texas Rangers in the Utopian is Ron Washington. This is the lineup he has submitted to me for opening day. Now, they had a big free agent signing. You're going to see this right away here. Leading off and playing center field is Negro League Hall of Famer Pete Hill. Big get for the Rangers. Batting second and playing third base, Adrian Beltre. Mark Teixeira gets the start on opening day at first base. Juan, as in Gone Gonzalez, playing left field and batting fourth. Pudge Rodriguez catching and batting fifth. A favorite of mine from childhood, Ruben Sierra, is going to play right field and bat sixth.
Nice.
Julio Franco batting seventh and playing second.
Okay.
Michael Young playing shortstop and batting eighth. And I can't prove it right now live, but if I go into Facebook memories, I can tell you and everyone watching that I was talking about Yu Darvish 2 years before he debuted for the Rangers. And this year, Yu Darvish gets to start on opening day against the Mets. It's going to be Tom Seaver against Yu Darvish on opening day.
Wow.
So, I mean, let's look at this lineup, Nate. You got Julio Franco batting seventh. You got Ruben Sierra batting sixth. So it looks like this team's going to hit. They didn't score a ton of runs last year, but again, it's just kind of the way the dice roll, if you will. But I think getting Pete Hill to play center field, 3, 4, 5 Teixeira, Gonzalez, Rodriguez. This looks like a pretty loaded lineup.
Nice.
Let's look at the bench. We got Jim Sundberg going to back up Pudge. We got Rafi Palmeiro.
Oh, okay.
Ian Kinsler, Toby Hara, your boy Elvis Andrus. Nelson Cruz is a Ranger in the Utopian. Joey Gallo. I love Gallo, so he's going to make the roster. And a blast from the past, Jeff Burrows.
Okay.
Now, I always remind people that just because they're not starting on opening day doesn't mean they're not going to get at bats. It doesn't mean that they won't eventually be the starter. Actually, last year, Gallo was added to the roster in June and did quite well. And I decided he's probably gonna be that first option off the bench. Probably gonna get as many starts as Pete Hill. Hill is obviously newer to the roster, so we're gonna just see it. Sometimes it just depends on how guys do to warrant who's gonna start the next day.
Okay.
Let's look at the rest of the pitching. So we got Darvish starting against the Mets on opening day. Kenny Rogers takes the ball on Saturday. Lance Lynn remains a Ranger in the Utopian. He'll pitch Sunday. And then the Rangers start a series with the Yankees right after that, and it's going to be Mike Minor and Charlie Huff. Also making the roster are Derek Holland, one of the great characters in Rangers history, and Kevin Millwood.
Okay.
The bullpen, we've got Mitch Williams, Jeff Russell, Neftali Feliz, Rafael Montero. C.J. Wilson will start the season in the pen. Could get some spot starts during the year. Sean Tollison and Darren O'Day.
Okay, nice.
Are there any, in your opinion, any glaring omissions that maybe a Nate Miller would have added?
What about Nolan Ryan?
So Nolan Ryan was one of the tougher decisions when I made the rosters. I actually put him on the Angels because that's kind of where I know he was drafted as a Met, but he kind of made his name as an Angel. That was really tough because actually, when I think of Nolan Ryan, I think of the Rangers.
Don't tell Billy.
Now, where would Billy put a Nolan Ryan?
He would be the number one starter
For the Rangers.
For the Rangers, yes.
So you're saying don't tell Billy that he's an Angel?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe that's why she's not here today.
I'm kidding. But at least you have Michael Young on your team. That's her guy.
Okay, cool.
And a little side note, I have actually interviewed Pudge Rodriguez.
Nice.
Yep, he called into the show about 4 years ago. So.
Very cool. What I guess the last question I have for you, Nate. We've gone over the roster. What can we expect in the future from the Basement Show?
First thing you can expect is eventually we're going to go back to 2 hours. That's kind of a priority for Billy and I. It's just in these weird times, nobody's really willing to spend money for a radio show. But you can expect the second hour. You can expect hopefully some Rangers players. Billy and I both have press passes for the next year, so we can hopefully get into some Rangers games and interview some guys. And but yeah, it's always gonna be fun as always. I mean, if you've listened to the show or watched the show on Facebook Live, it's always a fun time. Just Billy and I just doing our thing. And but yeah, it's always it's always entertaining. It's always fun. Sometimes informative if we get around to it. And, but yeah, it's just and just doing the show from that ballpark is amazing. So
yeah, it's really fun. I've caught now probably the last 4 episodes, and the thing I like about the show, it just gives that feel of just two friends hanging out talking.
Mm-hmm.
You guys talk about everything, not just baseball, but WWE, pop culture. So yeah, I would love during the season to have you guys have both you and Billy on at some point to just hang out and talk about anything.
Sure.
And I was going to say too, I really enjoy, and I've told you this personally, I really enjoy your personal Facebook posts. And I look forward to those every day. So Nate, thanks for being on with us today. You were the last one. So thank you to Nate Miller from the Basement Show. We'll post a link so that you guys can learn more about that. I I guess the next thing for me is at 2 o'clock, the Q&A for March for any new members that have questions about the Utopian Baseball Universe, baseball in general. So we'll see you at 2. Again, thanks to Nate, and we'll see you guys at 2 o'clock.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks, man.